The history of Syria, from ancient civilizations to modern statehood. Syria, a land steeped in history and culture, occupies a unique place in world history due to its position at the crossroads of the Mediterranean, the Arabian Peninsula, and Mesopotamia. The country's strategic location has made it a central hub for civilizations, trade, and conquest since ancient times. Over millennia, Syria has been shaped by various cultures, empires, and religions, which have contributed to its rich and diverse heritage. From the ancient cities of Ugarit and Ebla to the modern state established in the 20th century, Syria's history reflects resilience and adaptability. Ancient Syria, the cradle of civilization. The area now known as Syria was home to some of the world's earliest urban centers and civilizations. Archaeological evidence suggests that settlements in Syria date back to at least 10,000 BC. By the 3rd millennium BC, cities like Ebla in northern Syria had developed into thriving centers of trade and culture, with connections to Mesopotamia, Egypt, and Anatolia. Ebla's extensive archive of clay tablets, discovered in the 1970s, provides insight into the language, economy, and administration of one of the earliest known kingdoms in the region. Another prominent ancient city, Ugarit, located on Syria's Mediterranean coast, is credited with developing one of the earliest known alphabets, which influenced later writing systems. Ugarit was a prosperous port and a major cultural hub, where literature, mythology, and art flourished under the influence of both Mesopotamian and Egyptian civilizations. During this period, Syria became part of the Amorite kingdoms and, later, the Mitanni Empire. The Hittites and Egyptians also vied for control of the region. In the 1st millennium BC, the Neo-Assyrian Empire dominated Syria, followed by the Neo-Babylonian and then the Persian Empire under the Achaemenids. Hellenistic and Roman periods. After the conquests of Alexander the Great in the 4th century BC, Syria became part of the Hellenistic world. Following Alexander's death, Syria was ruled by the Seleucid Empire, a Hellenistic state that established its capital in Antioch, one of the major cities of the ancient world. Antioch became a center of Greek culture and learning, and the influence of Hellenism spread widely across Syria. In 64 BC, the region fell under the control of the Roman Empire. Roman Syria was a prosperous province, and cities like Palmyra rose to prominence as trade hubs. Palmyra, located in the Syrian desert, became a vital center of commerce between the Roman Empire and the Persian Empire. Under Queen Zenobia, Palmyra briefly became an independent kingdom, challenging Roman authority before it was reconquered by Emperor Aurelian into 73 CE. Syria remained an important part of the Roman and later Byzantine Empire for centuries, with flourishing cities, a diverse population, and an influential Christian community. It was during this period that Christianity spread widely, with Antioch becoming one of the 5 primary centers of the early Christian church. Islamic conquest and the Umayyad Caliphate. In the 7th century, the Rashidun Caliphate led by the successors of the Prophet Muhammad began a series of military campaigns that spread Islam throughout the Arabian Peninsula and beyond. In 636, the Muslim forces defeated the Byzantines at the Battle of Yarmouk, which marked the beginning of Islamic rule in Syria. Under the Umayyad Caliphate 661 to 750 CE, Damascus became the capital of the Islamic world. This marked the beginning of a golden age for Syria, as Damascus flourished as a center of administration, learning, and culture. The Umayyads constructed numerous architectural marvels, including the Great Mosque of Damascus, one of the oldest and most important mosques in the world. The Umayyad period established Syria as a central and prosperous region in the Islamic Empire. In 750, the Umayyads were overthrown by the Abbasid Caliphate, which moved the capital to Baghdad. Although Damascus lost its central status, Syria remained an important province under Abbasid rule. The Crusades and Mamluk rule. In the 11th century, Syria became a focal point of the Crusades, a series of religious wars initiated by European Christians aiming to reclaim the Holy Land from Muslim rule. In 1099, the Crusaders captured Jerusalem, and they established several Crusader states in the Levant, including the county of Tripoli and the Principality of Antioch. However, Muslim forces, led by figures like Saladin, eventually recaptured most of the Crusader-held territories by the late 12th century. Syria later came under the control of the Ayyubid and then the Mamluk Sultanate based in Egypt. The Mamluks successfully defended Syria against the Mongol invasions in the 13th century, notably winning the Battle of Ain Jalut in 1260. Under Mamluk rule, Syria's cities, especially Damascus, continued to thrive as centers of trade and learning. Ottoman era. In 1516, Syria was incorporated into the Ottoman Empire after the Ottoman Sultan Selim I defeated the Mamluks at the Battle of Marj-Dabik. Syria remained an Ottoman province for the next 4 centuries, during which Damascus and Aleppo served as important administrative and commercial centers. The Ottoman period brought relative stability, though the region experienced periodic upheavals. By the 19th century, growing European influence and Ottoman administrative reforms began to reshape Syrian society. Cities like Damascus and Aleppo modernized, and new educational institutions and infrastructure were introduced. However, discontent grew as nationalist ideas spread across the region. In the early 20th century, as the Ottoman Empire weakened, Syrian nationalists sought independence from Ottoman rule. Modern Syria, French Mandate and independence. Following World War I, the Ottoman Empire was dismantled, and Syria came under French control as part of the League of Nations mandate system. The French Mandate, established in 1920, was met with resistance from the Syrian population, leading to revolts like the Great Syrian Revolt of 1925 to 1927. French authorities repressed the uprising, but nationalist sentiments persisted. In 1946, Syria gained full independence, marking the beginning of the modern Syrian state. However, the country soon faced internal challenges, including frequent coups and political instability. The 1950s and 1960s saw Syria grappling with Cold War dynamics, socialist reforms, and a brief union with Egypt under the United Arab Republic 1958 to 1961. Ba'ath Party rule and Hafez al-Assad. In 1963, the Ba'ath Party came to power in Syria, promoting Arab nationalism and socialism. In 1970, Hafez al-Assad took control through a military coup and established a stable authoritarian regime. Assad's rule, which lasted until his death in 2000, was marked by centralization of power, suppression of dissent, and economic reforms. Under Assad, Syria maintained an influential role in regional politics, particularly regarding the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, Lebanon, and relations with the Soviet Union during the Cold War. Assad's government also promoted significant infrastructure projects and expanded education and healthcare. Modern challenges: Bashar al-Assad and the Syrian Civil War. Hafiz al-Assad's son, Bashar al-Assad, assumed power in 2000. Initially seen as a potential reformer, Bashar faced mounting challenges, including economic stagnation, corruption, and political repression. In 2011, amid the wave of Arab Spring protests across the Middle East, peaceful demonstrations erupted in Syria, calling for political reforms and greater freedoms. The Assad government responded with a violent crackdown, leading to the outbreak of the Syrian Civil War. The conflict escalated, drawing in numerous domestic and international actors, including rebel groups, Islamist factions, and foreign governments like the United States, Russia, Iran, and Turkey. The war has had devastating consequences for Syria, resulting in hundreds of thousands of deaths, widespread displacement, and severe infrastructure damage. Conclusion: Syria's history, from its ancient civilizations to its complex modern struggles, reflects the resilience of its people and the significance of its cultural heritage. Despite ongoing conflict and challenges, Syria's historical cities, religious sites, and diverse society continue to embody a rich legacy that dates back thousands of years. As Syria moves forward, the preservation of its heritage and the pursuit of peace and stability remain central to its future.